Where is victim 3 in the Sean Combs case, and did we just get official word she is not going to show up?
Missing witness, missing link, but not missing consequences if the clock slams shut first.
Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial will resume tomorrow. Assistant is set to take the stand. Over the first couple of weeks, jury members heard explosive testimony.
Explosive, yeah, but a dud in court if the fuse is cut.
Sean Diddy Combs' lawyer claims he might not have been mentally capable of crimes due to drug use.
Translation: Yo, Your Honor, my client was too lit to commit felonies.
Because right now, as it stands, Mike, nothing, and I mean nothing, is sticking to Diddy.
When nothing sticks, loopholes do. Tonight, we're decoding the biggest one.
Nobody can put Diddy there. And in fact, nobody even can say Diddy's the actual one who did it. But if they can say that Diddy or an associate of his did it, then you may have a racketeering charge.
No bomb, no pattern, no RICO, simple math, complicated trial.
You know, they talked about multiple victims. They couldn't even get one of the victims to come forward.
One missing witness, one late night raid, and a single line of federal code. That's the hat trick that could let Mr. Bad Boy moonwalk out the front door. Let's unpack how. The rap sheet reads like a festival lineup nobody asked for. RICO conspiracy, sex trafficking, transport for prostitution, wire fraud, 5 heavyweight counts stretching from 2008 to 2024. If the jury stamps guilty on all of it, Combs could trade velvet ropes for razor wire until the next century. But charges are just accusations with good fonts. Convictions need airtight stories, and storytellers right now are having mic issues. But that's only the opening act. March 25th, 2024. Dawn raids hit LA and Miami like a Netflix trailer gone live. Agents carted off phones, hard drives, 3 AR-15s, enough baby oil to moisturize Manhattan, and a mystery folder labeled House Rules. Problem. Defense lawyers say the warrants were overbroad and the affidavits left out crucial context. Translation: if the judge agrees, the digital treasure chest gets tossed, and prosecutors are forced to freestyle without their best samples. And even if the hard drives survive, time itself might kill their vibe. Under 18 U.S.C. Section 3298, adult sex trafficking has a 10-year statute of limitations. The feds say the misconduct began in 2008. That slice of the timeline is crusty enough to flake right off, unless they cloak it inside RICO's longer reach. Defense playbook: argue that each alleged act is a solo gig, not a seamless tour. Slice the chain, chop the years, watch the oldest counts vanish like deleted tweets. Even if prosecutors squeeze in newer allegations, a trim pattern means a limping RICO, but the government still has a big hammer. If the handle holds.
Diddy's lawyers are trying to make the case that his escapades do not amount to federal crimes. How difficult is that argument?
I think they're doing a fantastic job, honestly. Look, everybody has said, and Diddy's lawyers even said it in their opening statement, Diddy is not a good guy. There's a lot of domestic violence that occurred between him and Cassie in their relationship. However, what we've heard so far from the testimony of Cassie and the other individuals does not amount to the federal charges that he's being charged with right now. I'm not going to say anything that we heard is very good because it's all horrific. However, the state or the government in this particular instance needs to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he conspired to racketeer, to sex traffic, and to promote prostitution. So far, they're falling way behind in this. And I know there's a lot more to go in this trial because they're saying it's going to be about 8 weeks. But the government really better step on the gas because they don't have a lot more time to go.
RICO is prosecutor kryptonite for flashy defendants. Paint the entourage as a criminal enterprise, then pour every bad rumor into one megacharge. It worked on mob bosses. Hip-hop moguls, not so much. Combs' team calls it legal overreach with a designer label. Meanwhile, in April 2025, Supreme Court tweak blurred civil and criminal RICO standards, exactly the fog a defense can march through. If jurors think the rule book just got rewritten mid-game, reasonable doubt sneaks in, like an encore nobody planned. And doubt grows fastest when the cast keeps changing. Star lineup so far: Cassie, victim 1, with tales of freak-offs. Kid Cudi, recalling a blown-up car. Ex-assistant spilling tea nobody wanted. Their testimonies lit headlines. But victim 3? Ghosted. She once insisted on testifying under her real name. Now she's MIA, reportedly unreachable. Defense cheers. Prosecution swears she's still part of the case. Every time her empty chair shows up on court sketches, jurors feel the missing piece. No witness, no cross-examination, no direct story, just whispered summaries. Credibility points evaporate faster than you can say material witness warrant. And while the people talk, the paper pushes plot. Lead counsel Mark Agnifilo is running classic clock management. File, argue, appeal, repeat. Suppression motions, fired off. Selective prosecution claims, on deck. Mistrial bids already denied, but each one plants the seed for appeal. One senior attorney bailed in February because high-profile chaos burns retainers like incense. Yet the substitution pace itself can feed delay, and delay is oxygen for a statute running out and memories fading. Jury confusion isn't a bug, it's a feature. Outside the courthouse, the rumor mill is spinning faster than the DJ booth. High Rock's contract language suddenly got frosty. Revolt TV lists interim leadership, and rival execs are dropping anonymous quotes like breadcrumbs. Diddy's just the fall guy. Check everyone else. Twitter, sorry, X devours it. Hashtags mutate hourly. Conspiracy threads claim record labels leaked evidence to sink a comeback tour. Others swear big pharma dollars are behind it. Don't ask. Legally irrelevant? Maybe. Retention gold? Definitely. Because every time fans smell a cover-up, they lean in closer, exactly where you want them when the next reveal hits. And the biggest reveal is the shortest sentence in the indictment.
All this stuff is going to come to light. He's a sexual freak. He's a deviant. He's a control freak. He's doing all these things. There's thousands of bottles of lube. But then they're going to come down to the point that, all right, so the main witness, it would seem, is your girlfriend for the last 10 years. And they're going to ask her the question, well, why didn't you leave? What happened? Well, he scared me. He's intimidating. He's a power freak. He's a control freak. Okay. Well, you can put a restraining order on him. You can do whatever you want. And in my opinion, they're going to look at her. By the way, she already received $20 million settlement. So I'm not saying that I'm condoning anything that Diddy does, but I agree with you, PBD. At some point, they're going to look at this and they're going to say, racketeering? What do you do that's racketeering? Sex trafficking? They're going to try to use like cross state lines, however that is. The defense strategy is going to be she co-signed this, and as deranged and as psychotic as it is, you signed up for this.
Here are some scenarios that might happen. 1. Evidence suppression succeeds. Raid data gone, timeline Swiss cheese, plea deal to a lesser offense, maybe time served. 2. Statute motion lands. Pre-2015 acts dismissed, pattern too thin for RICO. Jury can't tick the box. 3. Hung jury. 2 holdouts after weeks of muddy testimony. Mistrial. Feds weigh an expensive redo. 4. Full acquittal. Rare, but if loophole math plus missing witness plus credibility dents line up just right. Not guilty echoes like a remix nobody saw coming. The defense keeps promising the jury a grand conspiracy of corrupt witnesses and cooked up freak show stories. Enter Sheree the Punisher Hayes, an exotic dancer.
How, when you've reflected back on your testimony, do you think that your testimony was helpful to the prosecution or the defense in any way?
I mean, going into it, I always thought that because I saw no violence or any outward aggression, I always wondered if this was more beneficial to the defense. But I don't understand the angle of how they're trying to take my testimony and connect it to what they're trying to prove. You know, it's very nuanced what constitutes a RICO and racketeering, and I don't know enough yet. I haven't heard enough to see if my testimony aligns with what they're trying to prove.
Translation: Hayes saw zero violence, felt zero coercion, and has no idea how his footage helps the prosecution. If anything, His words should be a slam dunk for Diddy, yet the defense still parades him as proof of some hidden foul play.
One thing that Cassie said on the stand was that she wanted Diddy to know that people were not disposable. And it almost sounded like she was talking collectively about everyone involved in these sexual encounters and these so-called freak-offs. Did you yourself ever feel as though you were either disposable or that you yourself were being trafficked in some way or prostituted?
No, not trafficked in some way or whatever. There was always pressure in terms of being disposable because obviously I'm there to create something, like a scene, to create an environment. So at times where there was sexual pressure, you know, because it's out of my norm, I did have a feeling of, okay, I'm one, you know, scenario where if I don't perform the right way, if I don't create the right ambiance, then maybe I won't get called back. But that's the most pressure that I had. There was no indication of I really believe they were just a happy couple and this was a sexual fetish that they had.
Do you ever see them be affectionate during these freak-offs together?
I did not. They would never actually interact in front of me. There was like kind of a cue where if he needed to speak to her or have some sort of direction with her, he would just stand up and leave the room. And if she saw that, she would follow him out. They would be gone 5-10 minutes. Then she'll come back and we'll resume for the most part. But no interaction in front of me. No even conversation other than his directions, which were subtle: move the light, turn your body, maybe put more oil. Those type of gestures in communication.
You said you wanted to, after your testimony, feel at peace with what you've said. Knowing what you do now about what Cassie Ventura has said about how she's felt about these freak-offs, what would you say to her if you could?
I would apologize. I would apologize because I had no idea, no indication what she was going through. And if, you know, obviously my involvement kind of furthered her suffering, you know, so just me knowing that as a man, you know, being raised by a single mom and a grandma, you know, just the thought of partaking in a scenario where a woman is possibly being abused is tough to hear. So, you know, I would just apologize to her and, you know, tell her that I was really remorseful and regret if I contributed to a bad experience for her.
That apology, it isn't evidence of sex trafficking. It's basic human remorse. But watch the defense spin. They'll point to those soft words and shout, "See? Even the exotic dancer admits something awful happened." Desperate to stitch a pattern where none exists, they're waving a patchwork quilt of half sentences and hoping the jury mistakes it for a smoking gun. So, here's the bottom line. Prosecutors have shock value. Defense has stopwatch power. If the clock strikes 10 years plus 1 day, if one witness keeps ghosting, if one folder of seized data gets tossed, Combs might moonwalk straight through the loophole and onto the next yacht party playlist. But justice has its own remix privileges. New evidence could surface tomorrow. A judge might slam the door on every motion, and that missing witness could appear with a mic drop no one scheduled. Question is, does the system clap back? Or does Mr. Bad Boy drop the ultimate "can't nobody hold me down" verse? Stick around. Next episode, we break down who else could tumble if Rico sticks, and why music's power players are sweating the verdict harder than Summerfest ticket sales. Hit that sub button, smash the bell, and let's ride this all the way to the final verdict.